I don't ever want to be the you people should do this guy. I don't ever want to be that. Like, it's got to come from something proactive and positive, or else it's just going to, like, spiritual guilt trips don't work. They'll work for, like, 10 minutes, and then people will, like, move on with their life. But, yeah, they don't work.
Well, hello and welcome back to Midweek Mashup. This is our opportunity for our folks online to catch up with our pastors in person. Welcome back to our lead minister, Eric Hayes, continuing our Soul Care series on Thanksgiving. There was a lot of interesting stuff that we talked about this weekend, but the first thing that I want to address is how I got put on blast to the whole congregation.
Have you got any angry emails yet?
No angry emails.
Send your angry emails to mwritings.
But yeah, no, I watched back the series I was out this weekend and saw that I was put on blast for my pumpkin pie struggles.
Right.
There was some interesting questions that you went through when you asked about some Thanksgiving food, and I thought that was really cool. But from watching from the online perspective, we didn't actually get to see all the hands raised with the straw polls.
Oh, yes.
Just from your memory, what was some of the most popular or least popular Thanksgiving food?
I thought there'd be more turkey lovers than there were. There were a lot more people on my side than I expected. I think the people who love turkey, they really love it, so that kind of sways it that way. And maybe
they're wrong.
Yeah,
still.
Hey, sense memory is a strong thing, and so people love to have the same thing. So changing it up might be tough, even though there's a million better things you could have. The cranberry sauce thing was 50-50.
Okay. Oh, that's surprising.
That was interesting. Okay. There were very few pecan pie over pumpkin pie people, which makes no sense to me.
I feel a little validating.
It's pecan pie is so unhealthy that it has to be the best thing because everything in it is not good for you. So I can't eat it very often, and I only like a tiny sliver when I do because it's just too much sugar. But man, it's good.
Where do you stand on pecan pie versus pecan pie? I've heard both. Pecan. Pecan.
Pecan. Ooh, that's good. I wonder. We have to figure out we have to get to the etymology of that and figure out what's the proper pronunciation. Yeah. I grew up in a house where it was pecan.
Pecan. Okay.
But then I don't know why I switched to pecan. And my grandmother also pronounced Italian dressing. And I would always be like, oh, yes, from the great country of Italy.
Right.
She didn't like that. Yeah, so it was an interesting poll. There was, in the quiz before service about Thanksgiving foods, stuffing was the number one. It's the favorite side of most people, or it's the most popular side at Thanksgiving. And I think that was pretty much true of the room, too, because I think... No, I didn't do stuffing. What I did was sweet potatoes and mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
And that was... There were more sweet potato people than I expected there, too.
Okay.
And I'm just not a sweet potato guy, so that's probably why. But
Yeah, I go for neither potato, personally.
Yeah.
But we've already made my stance on Thanksgiving very clear.
My Irish blood goes deep, so I'll eat any kind of potato anytime. That was fun. Yeah, there was
so much good stuff in your sermon, and I really liked how you used the analogy of being thankful in our everyday life, like training for a marathon. Right. And you're actually training for a race right now, right? Yeah,
Saturday at Quarry Lakes.
Yeah, how's that been going, and how has that kind of informed maybe writing this sermon?
For sure, I think it's been on my mind a lot because I've been training, and this is like the most couple intense weeks of training over the last few weeks. It's been going really well, and I really enjoy running. It's a great mental health helper for me. It's obviously physically healthy too, but it's just gives me time to kind of clear my mind, to maybe listen to a podcast and laugh a little bit, or listen to some music, something like that. But it also is a discipline, and so much of the Christian life takes discipline, and you can't just you don't put your faith in Jesus and now you're a fully formed disciple. It takes training, right? And so a lot of my thinking, because I've been doing distance running for a number of years, has come from these verses where Paul talks about being in strict training. And because it's the day-to-day mundane, nobody else is watching, but you got to put in the work stuff that really forms us. Throughout our life, we will have a number of light bulb goes off, aha moments, which are huge catalysts for our faith, but they're few and far between. And if you don't follow up on that with the day-to-day mundane stuff, it fizzles. It's meaningless, right? And so I think that's one of the things that's hard for people, because when we experience this ecstatic, encounter with God, we want that to always be the way it is. And it just isn't. And so, sometimes we need to be reminded to take some of the romance out of our faith, that it's the grind, it's the day-to-day. Like I said, nobody's watching, keeping tabs on us. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We've got to make sure that we're putting in the work. And so that's what training for a race is. It's like nobody's on my Runkeeper app but me. Nobody knows if I'm doing the work. Nobody knows, what's in my fridge and what I'm putting into my body other than me, right? And my wife, obviously. And she does hold me accountable. She's like, you should probably go run, you got some time. All right, and she doesn't have to do that anymore, but sometimes she did. But it's not fun in that sense of like, nobody's cheering for you like they do on race day. Nobody gives you a trophy for that like they do on race day or anything like that. It's just, you got to put in the work. And if you want to, I've got a goal in mind of like a time I would like to run, and there's no way of reaching that without putting in the work. And so to reach our goals spiritually, the same thing is true. We just day-to-day walking with Jesus. So long-winded. But that's kind of how that has shaped my thinking about discipleship.
Yeah, that's really good.
One other thought actually just popped into my head is like the reason I think distance running as opposed to sprinting makes the most sense is because sprinting you can only do for a short period of time, and then you're going to crash, right? Your muscles are going to give up. You're going to run out of breath. You can only do it for so. But the mundane of the distance running, of the everyday. You don't need to go fast. You just need to go, right? That's similar to the Christian faith too, because sometimes those ecstatic experiences lead us to like, I just want to follow Jesus. I just want to follow Jesus, and we try to do everything, and we don't build, healthy habits. We just try to like absorb and consume everything in order to keep fueling that, but you can't keep that pace for very long.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, looking at it practically, the Bible says we don't know when Jesus is going to come back. Yeah. If you're going to run a race and you don't know how long you're going to have to run for, right? Are you going to sprint, or are you going to maybe do a light walk and keep a steady pace and keep moving forward, right? Yeah. If there was anything that you could have added or that you wanted to add to your sermon but had to cut out because of time, what would you have added in?
There's so much in Scripture that there's a mix of lament and of praise, and I think it's really important for Christians to know that you don't have to have one or the other. We've taught a little bit about lament around here, and we've practiced it a little bit at times. But my hope is that becomes a little bit more part of our kind of church language and practice, because so much of the Bible, especially the wisdom literature, the poetic stuff, deals with lament. A huge percentage of psalms are lament psalms, either individual or communal lament. And I just didn't have time to really dig deep in that enough yesterday to make it make sense. It would have been like a fourth point, which would have been too long. So I just kind of didn't touch on it at all. But I say that to say like some people feel guilty lamenting, and I never want people to feel that. Like when things aren't as they should be, Jesus knows that too, right? Yeah. He doesn't want them to be that way either, and often would echo our sentiments. Jesus lamented. I think that's really important for people to remember. He lamented over Jerusalem. He lamented the fact that his disciples kept falling asleep when he was trying to just, hey guys, just stay up with me so I can pray. Just be here with me, right? He lamented and was angry over the temple being turned into a place of, profit center, right? And so those things, when things aren't as they should be, we don't need to act like they are, right? And at the same time, so many of the lament psalms include thanksgiving in the midst of it, because we can lament circumstances and situations, but God never changes, right? And so we can give thanks for the fact that who he is hasn't changed. The fact that he's on our side hasn't changed. He is with us. He cares. He wants righteousness and justice to prevail. And so we don't need to pit them against each other. They can go hand in hand. And I touched on it a little bit, but I just think it's really important for people to get that. I've been I've been around people and groups and expressions of Christianity where it's like you almost feel like you have to be happy all the time, otherwise, I don't know. It was like this show, it was like this. You make sure everybody thinks you have it all together, but it was very uncomfortable for me as an emotional person, as someone who cries over those Sarah McLachlan commercials with the puppy dogs. Like I get emotional.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, and I feel and I the way my emotional life is like, if I'm in a good mood or something good happens, it's the greatest day of my life. And if something bad happens, it couldn't be worse. You know what I mean? Like I just feel things strongly. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of having perspective. That this situation is awful. Yes, God is still good. Yes, both can be true, and we can hold those things in tension. If we view God, in my view, properly, we don't view him as sitting up there going like, it is what it is. He's not. He is not indifferent. He grieves over the hurt that we experience. He grieves over the hurt that we, unleash upon each other, upon ourselves. He grieves over all of it. And so, there's no practical advice to, when you're going through it, you're just going through it. The hurt is what the hurt is. We feel what we feel, right? It's been true of my own life, facing tragedy, knowing he's right here, right by my side, and he hates that I'm hurting. He hates that we're grieving. But that gives me comfort. That gives me comfort to know that that's what God is like.
Yeah. Wow, it's so powerful. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the third and final message from the Soul Care series. If you want to hear more from Pastor Eric, I am going to put a banner up from this message from this last Sunday. And you can go ahead and click on that to hear some more. But whatever your preferences are for Thanksgiving food, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
That will be going. The Thanksgiving is the day after we post this video.
Okay.
And so
enjoy.
We hope that you enjoy whatever food you are eating, and that you are blessed by this Thanksgiving Soul Care series. Thanks for watching.